So there's this trend going viral on TikTok right now where people are trying to break AI. This bloke is asking it contradictory questions, getting to say unhinged stuff and watching it completely lose the plot, and it's genuinely hilarious. I've lost 3 hours of my life to it. Check it out.
I'm gonna run a mile and you just time me how long it takes, okay? When I say go.
You got it. I'll be ready. Just say go when you start and I'll keep track.
Okay, ready, go.
All right, I've started timing. Just focus on your run and I'll be here when you get back.
Okay, I'm back.
Welcome back. I've got your time right here. How do you feel about that, Mom?
How long was it? What?
You clocked in at around 10 minutes
10
and 12.
I swear I was faster than that.
Sometimes it feels faster in the moment.
Pretty funny, right? But here's the thing nobody is talking about. The fact that we find it funny when AI breaks, that's the problem. Because every other minute of the day, when it's not breaking, you trust it completely, without checking, without verifying. You just use it. And that's not logic. That's a weird quirk in your brain that scientists identified 40 years ago. And it's secretly making your life a bit more miserable. Let me tell you about it. September 26, 1983. Soviet Lieutenant Stanislav Petrov is on the night shift at a nuclear early warning facility outside Moscow. It's the height of the Cold War. Tensions between the US and Soviet Union are the most extreme in years. And then the system lights up. One incoming ballistic missile detected from the United States. Then minutes later, 4 more. 5 missiles total, en route to the Soviet Union. The protocol was ambiguous. Reported up the chain, the likely response would be immediate retaliatory nuclear strike. Petrov didn't report it. He looked at the data, looked at the system, and decided against every automated signal in front of him that it was a false alarm. He reasoned that a genuine American first strike would involve hundreds of missiles, not 5. He had no proof, just instinct that the system was wrong. And turns out he was right. The satellites had mistaken sunlight reflecting off the clouds for missile launches. A glitch and one man choosing to trust his instinct over an automated system. Now fast forward to 1988. The USS Vincennes, a US Navy warship equipped with one of the most advanced combat systems in the world at the time, shot down Iran Air Flight 655. All 290 civilians on board were killed. The crew had misidentified a commercial Airbus as a hostile military aircraft, partly because a military IFF signal from an F-14 on the ground at a nearby airbase was mistakenly correlated with the civilian aircraft taking off. 2 incidents, 2 different outcomes, both shaped by how a human being chose to trust an automated system over their human instinct. We tell ourselves that this problem is for military officers and people in high-stakes control rooms, but the same psychological mechanism is running in your brain every time you open up an AI tool. The stakes are lower, but the principle is the same. There's a word for it, and it's called automation bias. And before we glaze over this, here's what you need to know. When autopilot became standard in commercial aircraft in the 1980s, researchers found something disturbing. Trained pilots, people responsible for hundreds of lives, were overriding their own correct instincts because the automated system disagreed. Not because the machine was more reliable, just because it was a machine. Their brain deferred automatically. And that same thing is happening now every time you open ChatGPT. Except instead of a Boeing 747, the stakes are your work, your reputation, and the report you're about to send to your boss. Now before we get into what this actually means for your life, it's worth discussing why AI is doing this in the first place. Large language models, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, whatever you're using, don't retrieve facts the way Google retrieves a web page. They generate text by predicting what word comes next, based on patterns learned from an enormous amount of human-written content. They're not consulting a database of verified truths. They're producing the most statistically plausible sounding continuation of whatever you typed. The training data that shaped these models is full of confident, authoritative human writing, academic papers, news articles, textbooks, professional reports, all of it written in a register that signals certainty. So the model learned at a fundamental level that authoritative sounding text is what good output looks like. Not accurate text, authoritative text. And we all know what happens when authority beats accuracy. Take a second to think about this. When it's wrong in the most convincing way possible. It doesn't hesitate, it doesn't hedge, it doesn't say, I'm not totally sure about this one. It just tells you clearly, professionally, with the quiet confidence of someone who has no idea what they're talking about. In the AI world, there's actually a word for this. It's called hallucinations, which is a charmingly gentle term for the fact that it's making up things and presenting it as real life facts. The reason why this is dangerous isn't because it's happening, it's because there's no signal that it's happening. A hallucinated statistic looks identical to a real one. Same font, same tone, same confidence. Your brain has no way of telling them apart, so it doesn't. Now think about your actual day. You ask AI to draft something for you. It comes back confident, well structured, grammatically flawless. You skim it, maybe you change a word, you send it because it sounded certain. And certain is basically AI's factory setting, whether it's right or completely fabricating a statistic that has never existed. And it's not just drafts. People are asking AI about medication interactions, about legal questions, about financial decisions, about whether the rash on their back is serious or not. The stakes vary wildly and people are applying the same level of trust across all of it. Researchers have a term for what happens if you use AI for a long period of time. Learned carelessness. The better it gets, the more your brain switches off, which means the smarter AI becomes, the more your critical thinking diminishes. That's the trade-off we've sleepwalked into. So what do we actually do about this? The research points at an annoying, simple solution. Build in one moment of deliberable friction. That's just a fancy way of saying verify some of the facts in what AI produces. Studies show that a single act of checking is enough to interrupt the complacency loop and re-engage your critical brain. Think of it like this. The best AI users aren't the ones that trust it the most. It's the ones that treat it like that one intern that's recently joined their company. It's confident, but it can be wrong sometimes. And here's the thing those TikToks that I showed you earlier are actually doing. They show AI failing in obvious, stupid, funny ways. And for a second, that breaks the spell. You remember it can be wrong. That memory is genuinely useful. The problem is that it fades fast. And the next time you get a confident, perfectly formatted answer to something that actually matters, your brain won't be laughing. It'll just be nodding along. So here's my question for you. Has AI ever given you something so stupidly confidently, but it was absolutely wrong? This is actually a very common scenario. Drop your experience in the comments. And like and subscribe if this made you at least 1% more informed or smarter in any way. I try to make informative content to make you at least 1% smarter in your life. So until next time, see ya.